How do you use your intuition as a hypnotherapist? How much value do you place on it? Now, when I initially read this, I kind of immediately jumped in and went, I don't use my intuition. I leave my ego at the door. Now, that's not strictly true, I don't think, because, yeah, I do leave my ego at the door before I start a session with a client. So I do my best to eliminate all judgment, all preconceived ideas, all of my conclusions, all that stuff. I do my best to leave that before I work with the client. But when I'm sat with the client, the questions come from somewhere. Questions that I ask come from some place. They're not plucked out mysteriously out of thin air. So perhaps it is my intuition that's because of my focus on watching the client and listening to the client, my intuition is picking up things that I want to talk about, I want to discuss, I want the client to open up to me about. So if that is my intuition, then yeah, I place a lot of value on my intuition because that's where the questions and the ability to focus and the ability to listen come from. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know where they come from. I don't sit before a client walks into the room and say, okay, what questions am I going to ask this client today? I don't do that. I come in almost like as much of a blank slate as I possibly can be. And I go, hi, Paul, what's the problem? How can I help? What's going on today? Something like that. And then I go from there. I don't have a list of pre-prepared questions. I don't have a questionnaire that I filled out. Okay, I've not taken notes. I'm not going, well, this client is ABC 123 456 117. I know. I just sit with the client and listen and focus and then ask the questions that come out as they come out. Now, interestingly, I don't think of a question and then ask it. I ask the question. So it's almost kind of like there's a shortcut between the brain and my mouth. Now, I know that's not a fact, but that's how it appears to me sometimes. That I just ask a question and it seems to come out of nowhere. My best guess is it's probably my intuition, but I don't know. If it is my intuition, it's incredibly valuable. It's an incredibly valuable tool, but it only works if you are actively focusing in on your client, if you're actively listening and watching and looking for UMs and looking for clues that the client presents to you so that you can help them towards the breakthrough. And to be totally honest with you, does it really matter where it comes from, where the questions come from? As long as the questions come, whether it's intuition, whether it's my midbrain, upper brain, unconscious brain, conscious brain, Z brain, Y brain, X brain, who cares? As long as the questions come out, that's the only important thing.